I thought I'd build this week's challenge along with you all. So we've got 3 inputs this week, and we've got information about our surfing destinations. We've got some additional information in the location tab, and then we've also got some information about each of the preppers and their surfing preference. So you might notice, first of all, that we've got cleaned with the data interpreter, switched on, and that's to do with the information tab having those lines of stars, which are pesky and annoying and don't contain any data. So perhaps smart enough to get rid of those and just give us our nice table here. So our first task is to get these 3 datasets combined together. So we look between our information and our location, and we can see that we've got site as the common field there. But in this site, we have a little bit of extra information about the fact that they're all in South Devon. So that's not going to be useful for us if we want to join these two together. So we basically want to split off that information about South Devon. So if we do an automatic split, then Tableau Prep's clever enough to recognise that it's the same in each row, that dash South Devon. So it just gets rid of it, which is really helpful. Oh, did the wrong thing there. I meant to get rid of this column here rather than getting rid of the change. So there you go. Now let's join those two things together on our split site that we've just created and our surf site, and we can see that all 16 of those rows combine together. So that's perfect. We've now got that extra information in about our surf season. So that's those two joined together. Now we just need to find out a way to join in our preppers information. So what we want our end goal to look like is we want to have for each prepper, we want to have their surf site, which works best for them. So we kind of notice that we have the boards and the skill level and the surf season are all common fields between this dataset here and this dataset here. So surely we could split out each of those and pivot it and make it into quite a kind of tall and wide dataset in that way. Tall and wide, that's not what I meant. Tall and narrow. But if we do that, then we're creating a lot of rows basically, and we would create a lot of duplication. We kind of want to keep our information about the surf site kind of all in one row. So on a row for each surf site, containing all the information about that surf site and not have multiple rows for each surf site. So instead of splitting out that data and pivoting it and making it long, we're going to simply do that with each of our preppers. So create a row for each kind of bit of information that we have about them, and then we're going to join that together in a dummy way with our information about the surf sites. So I'm kind of telling you what I'm going to do before I'm doing it, in the hopes that when I then do it, it makes more sense. But at the moment, I'm where I haven't explained it very well. So let's crack on. Let's split out our season because we've got this, for example, for my row there, Jenny, that's me. Then I like all seasons, so I need to first of all split using a custom split on the comma and keep all those fields. So that when we do that, we have all the information about seasons in different fields, and then we want to do a pivot to just make sure that we have one column containing all the information about seasons, even though we've kind of duplicated the rows a bit. So to do that, we're going to use a wildcard search for the word split, and then that means that we get all of our seasons in one row there. We get rid of all the empty rows there. We get rid of this column because that's not very useful to us. And then we can get rid of the season column here too. So now if we just add a clean step after that, then we can see that we've got all of our seasons just as one season. And that's a lot easier to work with now. So we're going to do exactly the same sort of process for the board type. So we'll split that. We'll do a custom split where we do a comma on all of the fields. And then we do our pivot of columns to rows. And we're going to search for we're going to get rid of this board type here. And then we're going to search for the word board because now we have the word split in there. in our season, that's a bit difficult to find. So there we go. Perfect. So we'll do a similar thing where we get rid of this field, exclude all of those rows there, which are empty. And now comes the fun part where we're going to create a calculated field, which is called dummy here. And basically what this is going to do is we're going to do exactly the same thing up here as well, is it's going to, for each of our surfers, it's going to give a row for each of the different locations. So that basically, the point of that is that we can filter it then really easily to what we want it to be. So what I mean by that is we want, sorry if I do a filter values here, we want, for example, our surf season of the particular site to contain the season that we've just gone ahead and split out. So we only want to keep those rows where the season is in line with the preference of the season of the surfer. But then that's not it. We also want to make sure that the board type is correct. So let's see the board type of the boards that are good at that site. Does that have the board type of our each of our individual surfers included in it? And then we also want to check that the skill level is appropriate. So if we do the skill level, so is it skill or skill level? We just check down here. Okay, the skill level has commas in it, therefore that is definitely the right way around for that. So if we do that, then we go from 128 rows to 28 rows. So this is saying all of the, this is basically all of the sites which would be appropriate. Now, Tom's given us a hint in the challenge that there may be some duplication. So let's go ahead and get rid of our rows that are no longer necessary. So these split ones won't be useful to us either. And now if we just go ahead and add an aggregate step here, then if we just group by all of these things, so rather than, we don't really need the number of rows there, but we will just group by our rating as well, then you can see we've gone down to 21 rows, which has removed our duplicates for us, which is grand. Now comes the part where we're going to be ranking which is the best for each of our preppers. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find our rating and we're going to want to do a rank on it. So we're going to calculate a rank. We're going to group it by each of the names because we want for each of our names, we want to know which is the best for them. And that gives us this here, which I think is correct. So we're only going to want to keep the best for each of our preppers. So we'll keep only those, and now we go down to having 5 rows, but you can see that if we scroll on to find our preppers, that Carl has 2 options which are the best. So we want to be finding out using the reliability rating that Tom has described for us. We want to do a second ranking based on that. So let's just create another calculated field and we'll call it the reliability ranking. And we're basically going to turn those words in the reliability field into numbers. So here's the calculation that I wrote earlier. And we're saying, so rarely breaks is a 1, which is bad in this instance, and it goes all the way up to 5 for very consistent. So we want the highest reliability rating, basically. So if we do another ranking based on this for each of our preppers, and then you can see that we want the highest ranking, so we want it to be going in Yeah, so it's already doing exactly what we want to do. It's giving a 1 to the highest. So great. And then we only want to keep the 1s here, so we keep only those. And now we are left with 4 rows, which seems great. It seems like we've got to exactly what we want our output to be somehow. So we've got a row for each of our preppers. We've got the highest skill rating associated with that. And thanks for listening. I hope that that was helpful for me to get through this challenge with you step by step, and hopefully it all made sense. So thanks for watching.